Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on this show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your host, Dominic Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
All right, it's Wednesday. Rants of Izzo Show here on Spreely TV, Spreely.com. All things speak freely. Burn Pit Podcast boys are making their way to the studio. There we go. Yeah. That's perfect. Perfect timing, dude. You know what? You're divas. You are now fucking divas, and you earn the right to be whatever, right? All right, Spreely Media, free speech, which doesn't fucking exist in this country anymore. Well, that wasn't me. It's a good team. Fuck you. You're free speech. Except for here on Spreely TV. Now, let me make this clear. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. Don't be a pussy faggot. Cunt, Jew, heeb, mick, spick, wop, nigger. We don't care what you fucking say here. It's free speech. If you have a problem with that, then email Chelsea from HR here at Spreely Media, and if she wants to fire me, she could fucking fire me. But gladly, they believe in this ideology of free speech. And you as the consumer have this awesome option, which is not fucking watch or listen. It's beautiful and it's brilliant. I'm fired up about this. This will be the third day I'm talking about it, and I don't care. And I'm glad you guys are on to talk about it, because the best thing about the two of you is when there's a difference of opinion, we don't suck each other's cocks to get along, right? There's a, hey, no, I think you're wrong about this, and that's that. This is important, and I want to play something that's affecting people in ways that they don't realize yet. I'm going to play a really quick news audio clip here from St. Louis, Illinois. I'm going to set this up for those who do not know. There's a company called First Form, the number one STPHORM. It's a supplement company. It's head up by a man named Andy Frisella and his brother Sal Frisella. I got the luxury, the honor, the privilege of being on his podcast 2 years ago. Andy Frisella has probably one of the most successful podcasts out there called Real AF. He had the MF CEO podcast, which launched him into that. The guy says what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants, except when it's to the police. That's where it becomes an issue. I'm going to play this audio. We're going to have a conversation.
Tonight, many in the police community upset and cutting ties with local fitness entrepreneur Andy Frisella. This coming after he made derogatory comments on his podcast about women in law enforcement. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski talked with current and former officers who called his remarks disgusting.
Andy Frisella, the co-owner of First Form, a St. Louis supplement and fitness company, is on damage control after these comments he made during his podcast episode that came out on National Policewoman Day.
Why, in my opinion, women shouldn't be in the field and police officers. I just don't think they should be. Every woman cop I've ever dealt with, every single one that I've ever been pulled over by, tried to make me feel like a and if that person didn't have a badge or a gun, you could punch a hole through their face and end their life. And they're talking to you like you're a piece of shit.
This comment came up after they talked about Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill being arrested last weekend. The episode has been taken down, and there was a second one put up talking about these remarks again.
Did I overgeneralize? Yeah, for sure. And I do that sometimes. That's the nature of how I speak.
Frisella did post another 12-minute audio-only podcast episode called I Messed Up and I'm Sorry.
I said some things on the show on Thursday that after thinking about it and after having it pointed out to me, that I feel very regretful for saying. Embarrassed that I said it. Doesn't reflect who I am.
Despite the various attempts to clarify and apologize, both the St. Louis County and City Police Departments released statements condemning Frisella's comments and officially severed all ties to Frisella and First Form. St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy said in a statement his overall and disparaging comments do not reflect our views or core values and have no place in the SLMPD. St. Louis County Police Association Executive Director Joe Patterson says Frisella and his company have been major donors to law enforcement, charitable organizations, and backstoppers.
And we truly do appreciate that previous support. But one of the things I heard from a lot of my women officers, they said, Joe, it has to be clear we cannot be bought. We cannot forgive him for saying this just because of the good he's done in the past.
How hard is this for all these women who put their lives on the line every day?
It's really disturbing for them, both emotionally and just they feel extraordinarily violated and disrespected.
Former and current policewomen in the St. Louis area called Frisella's remarks disgusting and said they'd never support his business again. One said in a statement,
we need to break this down because I think what Andy Frisella did was more important than what he intended to do. He just exposed the truth about law enforcement. Do what we want, say what we want, or we will not serve you. And as black and white as that is, I was trained in the academy. Do not accept free coffee from businesses you go to, because the problem is if I don't care, Casey's gas station is on one side of the street and Mobile's on the other, and Casey's gives you free gas or free coffee. The day that you do not respond in time to Mobile's response for call for service, they're going to say, oh, well, you would have showed up on time if it was Casey's because they give you free coffee. We don't. We were told that from the beginning. Don't do that shit. How dangerous is this to have a police union, company, president, all this shit, not only have their female officers say the free speech of a man that we've been buying our shit from and supporting for years bothers us so much we're traumatized, we can't handle it. He has to pay for his words, even though we work in probably the murder capital of the fucking country. And how dangerous is it for law enforcement, a command staff, to say we are severing ties with somebody for their words? How fucking dangerous is that?
Well, so let me just clarify. You're talking about the fact that his company sells to a lot of law enforcement companies. Is that correct?
He's also donated to local law enforcement. He's been a huge backer of police departments, military. He's donated to all those different charities and different things.
So doesn't that give him the ground to stand on to criticize them?
Well, of course.
Doesn't that give him more of a reason to be able to objectively criticize them?
Any citizen, especially in the St. Louis area, because they're taxpayers. Right?
And specifically, for he's donating extra.
No, of course. Yeah. No question about it. And you got to think, if you're a taxpayer, these police officers are public servants.
Yes.
They're there to protect and serve.
Yeah.
The taxpayers are funding their pensions, funding their salaries, funding everything.
But they're not doing so willingly. It's forced out of their pockets no matter what.
That is true.
True. So they're not funding them. The government who steals money through an illegal, unconstitutional endeavor called taxation through income tax. That's what funds
100%. But Andy Frisella here, the words he said, I don't disagree with anything he said.
No.
And in fact, I would say that if I were him, I understand the position he's in and the companies that he's associated with. And Dominic's right. His podcast is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of traction. He's got, you name it, across all the different platforms you can find podcasts. His podcast is great. But if I were him, I mean, I understand the position he's in. I would have doubled down. I would have said, look, I said what I said.
He apologized. That was his only mistake, was him apologizing like a cunt.
Well, without disparaging this man, because I like him. I don't know him personally.
I just say he was one. Right. I said like one.
But I like him. I don't know him personally, but I like everything he stands for, the stuff he says, all that. But what he's saying here, we've talked about on the show multiple times, Dominic, which is women in these fields, whether it be law enforcement, whether it be special forces, infantry, I don't believe there's a place for them in those fields.
That was one of the first things we talked about.
We talked about that multiple times. There's many different factors that go into why, whether it be the relationships that they can build with a male officer. The male officer now, obviously, as men, we have this innate ability in us to want to protect females. That's first and foremost there, where it's like you build a relationship with this woman. Now my concentration is when we go into a situation where there could be a violent offender, I'm also in the back of my head thinking I have to protect my partner here, who's a woman, and she's delicate to me. Mm-hmm. There's a fragility there, but also too, you see a lot of these female police officers that let the power go to them, and they have the power trip. But men do it too. In all fairness, men have the power trip too. But I listened to what he had to say. The first podcast he did. I don't see anything wrong with it, and he has every right to criticize them. My question is law enforcement above criticism? Are we not allowed to criticize? Are we not allowed to criticize, especially in your area if you're a taxpayer?
Yeah.
And your money's going to fund these departments. Why is he, especially him, like you said, especially him, he's given, he is a very charitable man, and he's given, I don't know how many millions to all these different departments.
When Ferguson went to shit,
go ahead.
When Ferguson went to shit, he donated for a ton of their officers and water and food, all this shit. This is a multi-leveled expose, if you will, of what happened. Not only did he expose the fragility of female police officers, he exposed the fragility of everyone who does his 75 Hard, which is a program of his. He has a movement, if you will, of people who hashtag 75 Hard, post your picture up online. I did my 2 workouts today. All these people who want to be associated with him. I can't tell you how many people who have DM'd me asking me, hey, do you think you can kind of send my stuff to Andy? Because they want him. You get a kiss from you get a fucking kiss on the cheek from him, dude. You're set, right? Now, I would never fucking do this. You guys should change yourselves to 69 Soft. We're going to lick each other's fucking wounded pussies is what we're going to do. So we got that.
Yeah.
We have the concept that we saw during the Summer of Love. Cops across the nation watch cities burn, businesses being looted, taken over in Chaz and Chop. They all fucking stood down at command orders, but because the words of a man upset you, I'm gonna fucking you're going to attack his business, his livelihood. That is that is tyranny. That is fucking tyranny. We have so much to unpack here at how horrendous this is.
Yeah. Look, again, and I hate to bring it up. You talk about another group of people, not law enforcement, the same shit happens to you. Your businesses get shut down, your bank accounts get canceled, right? So to that point, if he's going to have these businesses, and a lot of them are, he does business with law enforcement agencies like this First Form, selling his products to them. Whoever pays the piper calls the tune, and that's why he apologized, because he's losing shekels now. I guarantee you that's why he apologized, because he does not want to upset that community. And if I may, this entire thing is political. The people on the left can criticize law enforcement all day long, and nothing happens to them. As a matter of fact, they get put up on a higher pedestal in that particular group. People on the right, they are blanket back to blue cucks all day long, no matter what. To your point,
I spoke to
businesses were shut down. Yep. Cities burnt to the ground. What did they say whenever you criticize the police? Well, the Democrats wouldn't let them do anything. The mayor wouldn't let them do anything. The governor wouldn't let them do anything. It's always fucking passing the buck to somebody else. It's unbelievable. Oh, so people are gonna get raped and murdered in the streets, property fucking burnt to the ground, and they can't enforce the law because the mayor said so?
Right. I don't want to speculate as to why he apologized. I think he had a reason to, or maybe he did feel bad. Maybe he probably knows a bunch of officers in that St. Louis department, and maybe he felt bad about it. And he had a good reason to apologize, whatever it is. I trust his reason. But when you talk about Ferguson, Missouri, what happened there with Michael Brown, with that whole thing, that officer, by the way,
was in the right,
and was found to do. He was completely absolved. Eric Holder at that time was the attorney general.
Yeah.
He was, again, during that time at Ferguson, Missouri, when that Michael Brown incident happened, You had a black president and a black attorney general. Eric Holder was a black man. He came in, they did a investigation. They found the officer did no wrong. He was absolved. There's no charges were dropped, all that stuff. And at that time, Andy Frisella was donating to the officer because Ferguson was on fire. Yeah. Just like Baltimore with Freddie Gray. I mean, the list goes on of all these different incidents across the country where these officers were in Baltimore. The mayor at the time, I remember her saying, you got to let them get it out of their system. And they burned down their own communities. Yep. But, and that's obviously something that group does to their own cities and their own community and their own convenience stores and their own liquor stores and all that stuff. But in this situation, I don't want to speculate as to why he apologized. Obviously, he just felt bad about things. Maybe he felt bad about the things he said. Maybe he knows officers in that department. But he had every right to say what he said. And to come after him, what Dominic started the show with today was you have the right to turn it off. You have the right to not listen to him. Yeah. You have the right to say, I'm not going to consume his content anymore. Well, we appreciate the things he's done. We appreciate everything he's done for our community, for the law enforcement, for the department here in St. Louis. But you know what? We're just not going to promote his content anymore. We're going to just not listen to that content. He has the right to say whatever he wants to say, being a taxpayer, being a citizen. He has the freedom of speech. He has a podcast. He can say whatever he wants. It's his podcast. Yeah. It's his platform. Yeah. Let him speak. If he wants to say these things, this is how he feels. So what? But they came after him. They wanted a pound of flesh from him. And I'd like what you said there, Dominic, which is he's bringing this to light. He's exposing this. Yeah. He's exposing the fragility of women in law enforcement. He's exposing the fragility of law enforcement across the board. You can't criticize them. You can't say anything bad about them. You can't. I mean, they're above reproach. It's like they're above having any type of criticism put on them. Why are we not allowed to criticize them? I don't understand.
Well, are
they above it?
Look at the problem. The problem is, I spoke to him on Monday, and I know why he apologized. And I told him flat out, I go, the mistake you made was apologizing for Andy Frisella. That was the mistake. The problem is he's got 3,000 square foot fucking, no, they're not 3,000. My gym was 2,700. These got 30,000 square foot gym, or it's huge. They're huge. He's got thousands of employees. And now all of a sudden, when you have a police department saying what they said, that's a threat. Would either of you guys sit there and say, "Hey, our podcast is huge"? Burn Pit podcast, which is on Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern live. We're gonna get a space, and that space is in St. Louis, Missouri, because they're charging us $1 a square foot. We're gonna move there. Knowing what you hear now, would you move your business there, knowing that if you talk about the Constitution, you talk about the tyranny of law enforcement, you might have a squad sitting in the back of your building just waiting for you to leave? Oh, sir, you drove over the line. Step out of the car, please. They absolutely expose themselves. You want to distance yourself? Don't say anything, because it's the same thing that law enforcement does when you have these people. And it started with Congressman Clay Higgins, back when he was Captain Clay Higgins. And he would get online in his southern Louisiana accent. You think you can all speed through this town? And he would show the mug shots of people and whatnot. It started there, to where now we have sheriffs online with guys in handcuffs leaning up against a squad car. So-and-so led us on a pursuit. So-and-so thought he can get away. You're not affording them due process, because now you just made the public think that they're guilty before they've even had a fucking trial. So now we move to this. Yep. Well, hey, what Andy Frisella said, we appreciate his business in the past, but we're gonna disassociate ourselves with them. Now, think about how many other people are gonna be out there going, oh fuck, we can't ever criticize the police. We can't do it. Yes, sir. Whatever you want. Yes, sir. It proves this whole, if you do not respect the police and do what they want, you will pay. I want to play a video of prime example, because I know the steps of what happened, and I'm not going to betray the conversation that I had with him. But this, I know for a fact, this woman, because she was public about it on her social media, she posted online. This is a female police officer, posted online that Andy Frisella was nothing more than a keyboard warrior, did a 2-minute rant. and it got taken down because it was a personal attack. Then she posted in her stories, poor me, poor women law enforcement, how tough they have it. And then she posted a screenshot of a text message that Andy texted her and said, I appreciate the conversation, a lot of ground covered, all that kind of good stuff. I do know for a fact that he extended himself to begin after her video and said, I am open for a conversation. Here's my cell. I know that she called him up and started to motherfuck him like he was the biggest piece of shit in the planet. So now we have somebody who has no emotional capability to have a conversation. This is Megan McCarthy, who couldn't cut it as a police officer. Let's discuss why. And then why Andy, yes, based on this one woman, was 100% right, because apparently she's the ambassador for the talking head fucking female phenomenon.
Feels a little sideways.
Despite strong video evidence, a jury acquitted a man accused of beating and shooting at a San Bernardino County Sheriff deputy back in 2019. Welcome back. I'm Giovanna Latta.
I'm Mark Brown. You're watching Eyewitness News at 5, live on ABC 7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. A former San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy is shocked after a jury acquitted the man charged with her attempted murder.
Our Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has more on the defense's claim that she wasn't lawfully performing her duties prior to the attack.
At first glance, the video might seem crystal clear. A suspect punching a San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy several times, stealing her gun, and then firing as she runs away from him.
I mean, do we really? I could play the rest of this. Now she's a victim, and she goes around and advocate on talk shows and shit of how women in law enforcement trauma. This fucking broad got her gun stolen, and they had the shit beat out of her on the street. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for what she went through, because she shouldn't have fucking been there in the first place. Shouldn't have fucking been there. Then this guy gets acquitted from whatnot because they find a technicality and shit. That was my point for the fucking clip.
However, a jury has found Ari Young not guilty of both attempted murder and assault with a firearm on a peace officer. The jury apparently didn't even have enough evidence to find him guilty of resisting arrest, battery on a peace officer, or even for removing the firearm. On those charges, the jury hung.
What was your first reaction when you got that news?
Disbelief.
Megan McCarthy suffered several injuries in the attack. It happened on September 4, 2019. McCarthy responding to a 911 call about a domestic disturbance at a home in Victorville involving Ari Young, who experts say suffers from schizophrenia.
Bottom line, she couldn't do the fucking job. Couldn't do the job, and now she's emotionally traumatized because a jury, how the law works, does this, and she crucifies Frisella for his words on something that's 100% true. So this was one of the reasons why he wound up apologizing, because she bullied the fucking shit out of him, in my opinion, but he also was responsible for the livelihoods of thousands, so he put Andy Frisella aside, and he thought of the company first.
Yeah, okay. I think that's honorable of him. I think, but what he said, he made the comment that if she wasn't in uniform or something like that, that he would just punch a hole through her face, talking about a female police officer that was giving him shit on a traffic stop or whatever, which is 100% true. I mean, I work in the bar industry here in Pittsburgh, and we have detail officers that work for our bar. And here in the south side of Pittsburgh on East Carson Street, it is like Bourbon Street. There's 100 or so bars up and down East Carson Street. And there are female police officers that work and do what's called a saturation detail. The bar scene has gotten so bad here in the city of Pittsburgh that they have officers on every corner on Fridays and Saturday nights here in the city of Pittsburgh on the south side. And myself and another security guys, John Boland, we look sometimes at some of these female officers and we're like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I mean, if I'm a bad guy, Dominic, I'm 6'4", I'm 250 pounds of muscle, steel, and sex appeal. And if she wanted to take me down, there's no chance. There's no chance. Give me 5 female officers. I'll take them all.
Well, they have to shoot you.
They'd have to. They'd have to shoot you. They'd have to shoot me. No. There's no other. And when you see some of these scuffles here in the South Side and the police get involved with, the women really aren't involved. They don't get involved at all. They kind of just hover around, or they try and make space, or try and get the crowd to disperse. But other than that, they're not doing anything. And that's the reality of the game. I'm sorry. At these female officers, they're 5'4", they're 130 pounds. I'm sorry. Even if they're 5'7", it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of the female officers that are here in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure it's prevalent in every department, they're walking mattresses. They just fuck their way through the department, and it's known. Yes. It's known to even us civilians that work in
my first fucking department. We had a female. I'm in the first fucking day, and I'm in my FTO, and it says stay away from so and so. She was a sergeant in charge of records because they caught her on midnights getting fucking drilled on the squad room table by another officer. The other officer we had there cheated on her fucking husband, who was a sergeant at a town 2 towns over, and she fucked 2 different cops on the department. Last department I'm with, fucking cop gets on because she's sleeping, allegedly, with the deputy chief, and she just finds herself at 44 years old being able to go to the academy? Yes, women leverage that fucking position all the time.
100%. 100%. And there was a story earlier in the year, back in January, February, March, where you had this female officer down in Tennessee who fucked her way through the department. It was a national news story. She ended up getting paid, by the way. She ended up suing and ended up getting paid millions. And it happens throughout the entire country. You put a woman, I'm going to use the Marine Corps for an example. For every 100 Marines, you might have 5 female Marines. Well, those females, they might be a 5 or 6 out in the civilian world, but they're an 8 or a 9 when you put them around 100 guys that don't get to see women all the time, and you're on deployments. And these women, they'll take their turn going through different men, especially their higher ups, which is a no-no. There's a fraternization law in the UCMJ. They're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to, sleep with, you're not really supposed to date anybody above or below you. You're supposed to date within your rank. If you date at all, you're not supposed to do that. So, and these women just cause a problem. I'm sorry that they do. And actually, sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for stating the facts. The facts are these women cause a problem when they're in these units, and it can cause even issues where, say, like Matt and I are Marines or we're police officers, and he ends up sleeping with this girl, and then she doesn't want to sleep with him anymore, and then she starts sleeping with me, and then all of a sudden me and Matt have beef with each other now because we used to sleep with the same girl, or I'm sleeping with the girl that he used to sleep with, and all of a sudden we don't like each other, and all of a sudden it just causes more drama. And these departments would be better off if they just kept the women behind the desk. How about that? Well, and the patrol cars and people out on the streets, let the men take care of that business.
Who takes them seriously? Not sorry. Who takes them seriously when you're like an Officer Ashley Smith? What, 500,000 followers on Instagram, and your tits are always out, and you want guys rock hard when you're online, but then you want them to take you seriously when you pull them over for a traffic violation. That to me, this isn't an issue so much of females who shouldn't be cops. It's an issue of the police just fucking admitted that if you criticize them, they will attempt to destroy your business. You said this, man. Yes. You've said this. You have said this several times. Yeah. Threat of violence is everywhere. And when I said, well, what do you mean? And you pull you over for speeding. And if I don't give you your driver's license, what happens? Well, I rip you out of the car. Threat of violence. We've seen this, Millie. Yep. This is a huge threat of violence by the police.
Yeah, and that just goes to my point. I think this is just one facet to a larger problem, and the problem is the law enforcement community, holistically speaking, across the entire country, local level, county level, state level. Of course, we don't even have to mention the federal level. It is completely corrupt, and it becomes more corrupt as the years go by. The system is fucked just like every government system. The difference with law enforcement is they are exclusively the ones who use violence and the threat of violence. And no matter how corrupt your legislator is, they're not going to come to your house with guns, pepper spray, tasers, and batons. No matter how corrupt your judges are, they're not going to come to your house with pepper spray, tasers, guns, and batons. Law enforcement have the authority and wherewithal to use violence. This is why it's the biggest problem within any government agency. And it is so corrupt. The people have to rise up. You know what, Dominic? I'm in favor of all police being female. Get all the trainees and female. I want all cops. I want all cops, female and trainees and faggots. I want all of them like that. Why? Because when 1776 happens again, my job's going to be a lot easier. Woo. Where's the lie, Scotty Stevens?
No lies detected. That's fantastic. I second that.
I'm blown. No, I'm blown away. I can't believe the amount of people who. Well, let's go take one more step. The conservatives, right? The pussy faggot cunt conservatives who have been for the last several years. Daddy Trump is going to save me, or the Andy Frisellas are going to save me. But they just proved again. You pussy faggot cunts have been like, oh, I'm against cancel culture. I'm against only liberals cancel. And now you're calling for this man to be fucking canceled. Yep. You're worse than liberals.
Exactly, because it's a conservative facet of our society.
Yep.
And you know this. The conservatives are the back the blue cucks.
Yep.
Okay? This is why, Dominic, the far left, and we'll get into it, I'm sure next topic will be the Trump thing. Liberals have no problem using violence. The right does. And they're the ones who support the police. Please do my violence for me, law enforcement. And then they never do. Unless it's against them to violate their constitutional rights. And they still suck blue cock when it comes to that.
This is a prime example of cancel culture on the right. This is what it is. It's a prime example of cancel culture. A guy says something that the police don't like or the law enforcement community don't like. And it's like, we're coming after him and we're going to force him to apologize. And we're going to ban his businesses. We're going to not do business with him anymore. We don't care how much money he's given us. He said something we don't like, and we're going to make him pay for it. And we're going to make an example out of him so that when the next time somebody says something, they're going to remember what we did to Andy Frisella. That's what they're doing. And it's on both sides now. The right can't just point at the left and go, oh, we don't do cancel culture. They do the cancel culture. No. The right does it too.
But there's no difference anymore. Remember, the Overton window has moved. We said this. There's no difference.
The Overton window is shifting to the left.
Everybody.
If you don't like what we say, then we're coming after you. And if you don't support us, then we're coming after you. And you better apologize or else. And that's why
we don't apologize in the Burn Pit podcast.
Fucking stand by your opinions, and you can say, and he even said it. It's my opinion. There's the ultimate thing that blows me away is what the departments did, and even more. I know for a fact that he had emails, text messages, and phone calls coming in of support from active and from active and retired LEO, but none of those motherfuckers are going to stand up and say I agree with you publicly. They can't. They fucking won't. They're fucking pussy faggot cunts, and you all deserve a fucking hot rider. You know what? Like I said, 69 hard. We lick each other's wounded pussies. That should be your new fucking slogan. you little bitch fucking cunts. All right.
Now, I agree. By the way, Dominic, I agree with everything he said. And if his apology was just for the people that he offended, like, oh, I'm sorry if I made some people feel bad, but I still believe what I said. I stand by what I said. I think he's got to, when he said that, I think that's his honest opinion. And I'm not sure if the apology was taking the opinion back. I think the apology was more of like, hey, I didn't mean to ruffle feathers here.
Again, I don't want to, I have a hard time saying this.
That's okay.
It's okay. No. Yeah, all good. We can move on. We can move on. Anyways,
I know that the one broad that called him all bent out of shape wasn't the only one. And if that's what blows me away the most. It should have been a collective. How can you deal with me on a traffic stop if I'll fucking hire any gash. Fucking here's my license, cunt. How can you handle a citizen's opinion of you when they actively hate you, they're resisting, they want to shoot you, all this? Are you going to say you're going to handle that if you can't handle the opinion of a police supporter?
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Yep. All this again. It's so corrupt. Law enforcement, just like every government agency, becomes more and more corrupt, and it has to change, or else it's going to get worse, and the people are going to suffer more. And unfortunately, the only way to change this is by force. So you got to fight fire with fire here, but no one's going to do that. So
all right,
I call
this,
war, but
it is violence. That is the deterring factor here with what we're talking about is might is right. Might is right is the threat of force and the threat of violence. That's what makes legislation work. It's other than that, legislation is just a piece of paper. It's got to be backed by force, got to be backed by violence, and that's the truth. And this is them exerting their kind of force on Andy, saying, hey, we're gonna not do business anymore. We're gonna come after you. We're gonna silence you. We're gonna make you apologize. And I hate to see it, but I enjoyed this conversation. I think it was great, and we could probably go on with that. But
we can in a different direction because I have a fucking problem with women. Because as we know, P. Diddy yesterday was arrested, right? And they found 1,000 bottle of fucking baby oil lube. We're not going to get into the details of the case because there may be some legitimacy in there. I have a legitimate question that I've been wondering for fucking years. And correct me if I'm wrong, but after seeing, once again, a woman or women come to the table to say, 20 years ago, this fucking happened, blah, 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 I have come up with a new definition of woman. And I want to know if I'm off base on this. Woman, that would be a noun, sometimes a fucking adjective, cunt. A creature who has the ability to consent to engage with full knowledge and awareness in the most depraved sexual acts while willfully consuming intoxicating compounds and alcohol, which impairs their judgment, and still engages in aforementioned sexual acts, then cries rape and sex trafficking 20 years down the road, blaming men and accepting no responsibility for them fucking selves. Am I off base?
No, of course not. Again, there's so many different. I have personal friends or acquaintances who have been victim of this, and a lot of times it's not even a. A lot of times the female is a known drug addict and stripper, or / escort, and the individual who is being accused happens to have a decent amount of money. And whenever he brags about having sex with this girl, that it doesn't even have to be 20 years down the road. It can be immediately. The word gets out, then she's humiliated. So now she wants to claim the rape thing. And at least in Allegheny County, the judges are very far left and they side with females no matter what. So it doesn't even have to be 20 years down the road, which, of course, in the case of Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice, that one scumbag bitch tried to come out and say some shit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a huge Brett Kavanaugh fan, but I believe it was
Christina Blasey Ford.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, Dominic, it doesn't even have to be 20 years down the road. It could be immediately because they're humiliated that they did what they did.
Right.
And they were drunk what they did it. And whenever someone wants to blast it on social media, yeah, I hooked up with this girl, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now she's going to claim rape because that's her only course of action in that case. I didn't do it. I was raped. I was drugged. I was whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I agree with you.
In the moment, they're willing participants. But then
100%.
After, a few days pass, weeks, months, years, whatever it is, then they start feeling some shame. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, I don't like what everyone's saying about me, even though I actively and willingly participated in these things. Yeah. And I gave consent, but you know what? Because now I feel shame about it, I'm going to come after this.
I'm a victim.
I'm going to come after this person and completely ruin their lives.
Yep.
Yeah, they completely ruin their lives because of it. Just like these officers in Tennessee with this female police officer that slept her way through a department.
Willingly
and these
did
guys
it and get paid millions. Willingly does it.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
She enjoyed every bit. She enjoyed every bit of it.
100%. I'm so tired of this. And I've had this conversation with doctors who were in the field. One of my friends who passed away many years ago, Dr. Targol, used to come on the show with me on Wednesdays. And she was a doctor of trauma, psychological behavior, and addiction specialist. She would flat out fucking acknowledge the women who would come to her with rape fetishes, gangbang fetishes, fucking the most taboo fetishes out there. But of course, when you put up that a woman is in a position of being able to perform to get a man's attention so it could further her career or money, like P. Diddy, you're going the people in the comments section who are fucking liars, men and women. No, oh, she was clearly raped. She was clearly trafficked. Right, by the definition, and we're changing the definition of fucking trafficked. Hey, I've got a Learjet or whatever they are. Let's go. I'm going to serve you champagne and blow. We're going to fly from New York to Vegas for a fucking night. Yeah, you may have to fuck a few of my friends. Are you down for that? Absolutely. That's sex trafficking now. That's sex trafficking because you get free thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fucking party favors and dick. We have these people who are just arbitrary. Oh, men are this, men are that, men are whatever. And they're the same people who are in these fucking loveless, sexless marriages, masturbating to fucking ladyboy porn on their phones, hiding it from their miserable, fat fucking cunt wives. We have a huge epidemic of liars and hypocrites in this fucking country, and I'm tired of just them not being exposed.
It's just constantly getting exposing is irrelevant unless something's done about it, right? We can expose it all day long. If no one does anything about it, it's kind of like, what difference does it make, right? So again, I agree with you. Exposing the problem is definitely key. However, one must also actively promote solving the problem as well. And no one's doing that because, again, government becomes more and more corrupt and the people are too pussified and cuntified to do anything about it.
Yeah, I have an experience real quick. It's been 20 years, so I think I'm allowed to talk about it now. But I actually testified in a court-martial while I was in the Marine Corps. A staff sergeant, she was young, Asian staff sergeant. She had fake tits. She was built really well. She banged a bunch of PFCs, that's private first class and privates in the barracks that I stayed in, and we all knew about it. And she used to tell all, and I was in the law enforcement barracks and the MP barracks, so these MPs would run trains on her, and she would tell them like all these different fantasies that she had about rape. Well, she accused a major that she was like dating of raping her, and this major's career was on the line. And I actually was called to testify because she was sleeping with my roommate at the time, and he had, and this is back in VHS, but he had recorded one of the sessions, and I had a VHS tape in my room, and here he left it there, and he had moved on, and I had this evidence, and I testified in the court-martial that, she slept with this guy. I provided the VHS tape, and I also testified that, yes, she had said multiple times to many different Marines that she had these active rape fantasies and that she talked about it openly. And here she was trying to destroy this guy's career, who was a major, who was an 04, who had a impeccable service record. And eventually she ended up being guilty of falsifying these different claims and charges, and she ended up spending time in the brig.
Wow,
but Dominic,
that's damn good.
To your point, women do have some of the most sick fantasies, and we don't even really know about them.
God love them for them. Scared I fucking love them for that, but they weaponize it on men. They fucking weaponize it on men. You kinky cum slut bitches are the best thing on the planet if you would just own up to it. So clearly the people who are preventing you from doing that are the Jews. They're
behind it all.
Well, that's where we got to put some kind of connection.
Anyway.
Here, I think this is where I'm thinking this is going with the P. Diddy trial because he's closer to home. New York area, I think he may have been. I don't know. I didn't read too much into it. How do you think they're going to tie Trump to this as the October surprise? That's why they've arrested him, brought him in. Diddy is going to say, you can't all prosecute me because I got shit on Trump.
I disagree. I mean, Trump has been with Epstein multiple times for many years, and Maxwell. I mean, he was on Epstein's plane Lolita Express at least 7 times that we know of through documents and flight logs. So was other people. But that being said, he's been at Epstein's house in New Jersey multiple times. There's already been rape accusations against Trump with individuals who were under Epstein's little honey trap Mossad operation. So if they wanted Trump, they would have him already. And I think, and this is just my opinion, the whole reason Trump is in the position that he's in is because they have stuff on him. That's just my opinion.
We have the Stormy Daniels thing with Michael Avenatti. He was the porn star lawyer. And she came after him already. I'm sure there's a bunch of skeletons in his closets, just like there's a bunch of skeletons in all their closets, by the way. All these guys. I don't care who it is. Chuck Schumer, you name it. Chuck Schumer, his wife looks like a dude, so there's probably some weird shit going on with Chuck Schumer. Who knows? They all have some sort of weird sex kinks and fetishes from Republicans to Democrats. Remember years ago, there's a congressman that was in like an airport bathroom that was tapping his foot trying to get gay sex. Whatever. They all have skeletons in the closets, and that's why they get put in these positions, because they can leverage all their past and all their dirty things against them.
This is why the Epstein client list has never been released, and it won't be.
It won't be, but. And that's why the Epstein Island existed.
Yes.
It was a honeypot operation ran by Mossad. There we go.
That's already admitted.
Right. So Jose Maxwell's father was a Mossad agent. Jose Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell.
Who
was photographed in the 60s and 70s. Robert Maxwell was doing the same thing in the 60s and 70s before Jeffrey Epstein took charge.
They're saying he got children. Level. They're saying he got children from fucking Mother Teresa. They've got fun, and people have said for years that the Mother Teresa was not the saint they made her out to. And then if you actually look at photographs of Mother Teresa and Anthony Fauci, they look like the same fucking person.
They do. And Mother Teresa was connected with the Clinton Foundation. Yep. So, with different things. It's if you go down that rabbit hole,
there's connections there.
If you go down that rabbit hole, look, these people that have been in the public eye, they are not who we think they are, and the Epstein Island thing is what we're talking about here, is that whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in media, whether it's in politics, whether it's in big tech, you name it, they all went to the island. They all participated in whatever they participated. They all have these weird sexual kinks. In the one deposition, the girl admitted that she was 14. She admitted to giving George Clooney a blowjob in the kitchen on a yacht or something like that. It's like they're all implicated somehow. So to have Trump come out there and not going to implicate him in anything further, because then he can just go. He can go, hey.
Yeah, they want him to be in power. They can control him just like the first time.
This is why it's
all theater.
Well, it's very interesting you said that, because I didn't think about that, and then I heard this today too. Because this is from John Sarasani. He's 400,000 followers on Instagram, and he's actually from my area. He's like the king of Schaumburg, Illinois. He says this today, and he never talks politics, and he puts this up on his Instagram, and I'm like, really, that's kind of odd. And then you say what you say, and I'm like, man, there's some legitimacy to this theater.
Give a shit if you're on the left or if you're on the right. Tell me you disagree with what I'm about to say. In 2016, the vice president of one of the most popular presidents in American history decides not to run for office. His name is Joe Biden. They decide, hey, it's Hillary Clinton's term. Who decided that? The heads of the Democratic Party. Give me an effing break. How did that work out, guys? All right? So instead, Hillary runs, loses. Biden would have beat Trump. How do I know that? Because he ran in 2020 and he beat him. Okay? Now, here the Democrats are effing him over again, not letting him run for his second term. He should be finishing his second term right now, guys. And his age and being old and stuff, that's fine. Right into the sunset. Your vice president's now going to take over. Who's your vice president? Who knows? Maybe it would have been Hillary Clinton. And we'd be looking at Hillary Clinton running against Jeb Bush. That sounds antiquated, John. It's only antiquated because Donald Trump exists, and the Democrats created this opportunity for his existence. Now, I will say this Kamala Harris phenomenon is interesting. She's doing better than I thought she would. I thought Trump would have steamrolled her, and, we shall see. But Democrats, this whole Trump thing, you guys made it happen in the first place.
I was like, holy shit. That kind of backs up all the shit. You're going to have leverage on him from Epstein Island and all this crap. Could you imagine being, 78 years old? You got golden fucking toilets, man. You people are taking shots. If I'm 78 years old and I got fucking a fortune for my family to live off of till well past I'm done, I'm like, I'm fucking out, dude. I'm out. But he's still
unless
in.
You're told to stay in.
Correct.
Because you're blackmailed.
Right. That whole thing with Hillary Clinton, too. I mean, they set that up years in advance. They had Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the head of the DNC. None of it made sense. You had Tim Kaine as their pick for VP, and then when you research what happened there, Tim Kaine steps down as the head of the DNC to let Debbie Wasserman Schultz in, so they can guarantee that Hillary Clinton will be their nominee, will win the superdelegates. Even though Bernie won a bunch of states, but Bernie had a legitimate. Bernie
was actually more popular, but the super delegates, which only the Democrats have super delegates, chose Hillary
and paved the way for her, which was set up by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Ding. Yeah. But that's it, the whole thing. The guy's absolutely right. Trump was basically a creation. of the Democrat Party because they ostracized the rest of the Republican Party, and we didn't have a voice on the right. Trump's rhetoric was attractive to the people on the right because we were used to guys like John McCain, Romney, and Bush who would roll over, show their belly, and apologize if they got called a bad name. Oh, you're racist. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Romney, too, with the whole binder full of women stuff. He apologized for that. He apologized for that. Hey, no matter what I do, I'm 47% of the country is going to vote for the left because they want entitlement programs. He apologized for that. Trump doesn't apologize for anything. So that creation there of Trump, and he may be the Trojan horse coming in.
He's already proved he was his first term. He already proved he was. Trump was able to get the moderate left-wing base. He was able to get the moderate base.
And
why?
Independents.
Why?
Too.
Because he's a celebrity. No matter who you were, if you were moderate, not far crazy kook left, if you were moderate, and I know for a fact multiple Obama voters voted for Trump, he was able to get the moderates, and that's all you need. All these elections are super close. All you need to get is 2 to 3% more voters. And Trump was able to do that through he's been a liberal his whole life. He supported liberal policies.
He's been a New York liberal his entire life.
Liberal candidate policy-wise on the stage in the primaries of that year. He was the most liberal one, but he's popular. He says mean things about Hillary Clinton. I'm going to lock her up. I'm going to hire a special prosecutor, lock her up.
Right.
As soon as he gets elected, she's been through enough.
Well, it's crazy to think he won Wisconsin, Michigan, and PA. Yeah. That means the voters that voted for Obama had to turn around and vote for Trump.
Correct. Again, the Overton window has moved further to the left. And the people, the power structure, the ones behind the scenes who are all the money donors, the lobbying groups, the special interest groups, the owners of these multinational corporations, they're the ones who call the fucking shots. And they have to cater to what the base of the people are. We have to control the base's ideology. And what are they going to do? They're going to accept this from a Democrat. They will accept this from a Republican. We want to shut the country down and do COVID. We can only do it with a Republican in president because they'll just blame everyone else. They'll stick to the idol. They'll worship this man. They'll still worship him no matter what. We need to close the vaccine. Well, how do you do it? Well, the right's going to be against it. But if Trump does it, they'll still be in favor of it.
And he still touts to this day.
Yes.
And Matt's absolutely right. They blamed Governor Gretchen Whitmer. They blamed the governor of California. Yeah. They blame all the governors. It was the governor's fault. Well, Trump at any time could have signed an executive order, or he could have came out and said by edict, hey, we're not going to shut the country down. We're not going to close businesses because it's unconstitutional. But he did it anyways. Because again, the Republican Party will eat up anything Daddy Trump says. They'll eat it up and they'll say, "Well, it's not his fault."
Yeah,
that's not his fault. It's the Democrats' fault.
And if the deep
it's Fauci's fault. It's Fauci's fault.
Well, he gave a Fauci award his last day in office, but for Operation Warp Speed. If the deep state wanted Trump dead, he would be fucking dead. They wouldn't be fucking getting these cucks who have absolutely no skills in firearms to try and kill Trump.
Right.
Okay, they can kill JFK. They can kill Epstein inside a federal prison without even being caught. You're telling me they can't kill Trump if they want to?
Matt, the guy was sleeping. The correctional officer was sleeping, and the cameras went off.
Yeah.
And if you don't buy it, then you're a kook and a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And all these different shooters, by the way, and if there's more, they're all going to use long rifles. They're going to use AR-15s. They're going to use AK-47s. They're going to use M4s, because I think the play here is some sort of assault weapons ban. And we talked about this Monday.
Yep.
When I went through primary marksmanship instructor school in the Marine Corps, ask me this question, Matt. How many times did we refer, at the time the service rifle was the M16A2 service rifle. It was a 5.56 caliber. Yeah. Ask me how many times my instructor, as he was teaching class, referred to the M16 as an assault rifle.
How many times?
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. The word assault, this was back in 2002, the word assault rifle didn't come together. And most people think that AR stands for assault rifle. What's it stand for?
Armalite.
That's an Armalite rifle. Now, name another weapon that they put in assault in front
assault grenade, assault spear, assault knife, assault pistol, assault missile, assault bazooka. Only assault rifle, because they want to put that label on it to trigger the public, so they will agree. Again, Donald Trump already supported the assault weapons ban in 1994. It was.
Yep.
He supported it publicly. He did the bump stock ban. He called nationally for a red flag law bill to be passed, which eye patch Dan Crenshaw was in favor report, Lindsey Graham, both Republicans were in favor of it. And as far as I'm concerned, when you call for a red flag law bill, which is anti-First Amendment, anti-Second Amendment, anti-Fourth Amendment, anti-Fifth Amendment, and, not anti-14th because it's federal, you have 4 amendments that are violated. He committed a criminal felony offense under Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy to deprive constitutional rights with other congressmen. He should be in fucking prison.
And all the rest of them should be too.
I'm sick of it. Now these fucking, I said this on Monday. If any of these motherfucking Republican Trump supporting cultists support an assault weapons ban or any type of anti-Second Amendment legislation being ushered in by Trump because 2 of assassination attempts, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you.
Do you think that's what they're going for? To where now you have a reason.
Yeah.
He already went for it.
How many people? How many fucking Second Amendment Molan Labe coming taking people are now going to go, we have to protect Trump at all cost. We may need to look at that's how they do. Well, we may need to look at shit. We may need to look at it now. It's going to fucking happen. 100%.
Trump gets in office and he's going to say, whether it was 2 or 3 or 4, who knows by the time the election happens and if he actually gets elected, which our prediction is that he'll get elected, he can use that. He can go, look, there were 3 or 4 assassination attempts on me. These people shouldn't have guns. There should be stricter, whatever it is, psychological evaluation, stricter background checks, a waiting period. We should up the age to own a rifle. And they'll use that assault because they demonize that weapon. They demonize that rifle by putting assault in front of it, even though they don't do that with any other weapon, by the way. And going through law enforcement training, how many times did you hear assault in front of anything? It's ridiculous.
It's conditioning. It's trauma-based mind control. It's conditioning. They do the same thing with a fucking certain event that happened from 41 to 45.
Yeah, they'll make that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
This has been fun. This has been fun.
There's really not much else to say when it comes down to shit that we just, have fun here on the show with. I don't, I shave my little mustache into a fucking square.
You won't.
Oh my God, fucking, it's ridiculous. All right, damn, time flies when we're all fucking pissed off at shit. Yeah, the Burn Pit Podcast, Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. What do you guys have coming up for this coming week?
You want to come on Monday, Dominic?
Yeah, you want to come on?
Monday's fine. I'll see you guys Monday.
Hey, real quick, my lady is mailing your shirt this weekend. You'll have it by either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week.
That's
Pussy
right.
faggot cunt.
There you go.
KFC.
Spit on it and wipe your dick off after you're done having fun with her. Then send it to me so I can be a real pussy faggot cunt. Holy shit. All right, guys, that's Monday. Do not forget to watch the Burn Pit Podcast live or go watch past or listen to past podcast episodes. You may learn something important about, I don't know, the Constitution, the way of life, and how fucked we all are because of comfort. We've settled for comfort versus our obligation and freedom. I would just defend our freedom. It's insane. Go to Spreely.com. Check out all the awesome shows there. In addition to the Burn Pit Podcast, you have Pete Santilli, Report and Opine, The Shannon Joy Show, Evening Rants, a bunch of other awesome content creators on there. You have Spreely Video, you have Spreely Social, where you can say whatever you want without being censored. And maybe it might be a good reason for some big social media influencers to move to Spreely. I'll have to have that conversation with them. Guys, have a great damn day. We'll see you guys tomorrow for more of the Rants of Izzo here on Spreely Media. Go help somebody today. And if you can't help them, don't be a pussy faggot cunt and hurt them.